بس أعور ما مشيكم.
Okay, shall we proceed? Scholar, shall I put?
Yes, sir. Please proceed. Hello. Yes, sir. Please proceed. Hello. So please unmute your mic and talk.
Yeah, I'm sharing YouTube link to everyone so that we can proceed the session.
Yes, sir.
So shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir. Please.
So I'm going to start the session.
Yes, sir.
Rashid, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are.
Okay. A very good morning to one and all. I'm Dr. N.V. Ramarao, Associate Professor, Head of the Department of Pharmacoeconomics, University of Pharmaceutical Sciences. First and foremost, I express thank our dynamic and visionary principal, Professor Ramarao Nadella, and management Dr. Sri Y.V. Angel Garu, to provide us such a webinar facility, not to stop our continued dedication to our students, even we are in COVID-19 pandemic. I cordially welcome you all on account of University of Pharmaceutical Sciences to webinar on Pharmacoeconomics, the future of Indian healthcare. The session 1 in the morning in this day covers introduction of Pharmacoeconomics, cost minimization and cost effective analysis. I hope all pharmacy students can take short notes on this session. It will be helpful to you. I am requesting all to take some key points. Sara also not only academic exposure, he has industry exposure. So we have to utilize his experience. So without taking much time, I welcome our today's gentleman, guest speaker, the Mr. Muhammad Rashid, the current PhD research scholar at Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Sir has experience in various positions like hospital pharmacist in EMS Memorial Cooperative Hospital, HUR intern at Marksman Healthcare Communication Private Limited, as a clinical pharmacist intern at JSS Hospital, Sir also worked as the assistant professor at Sri Alchandri College of Pharmacy. Sir also worked as a clinical pharmacist, clinical coordinator, research coordinator at Alchandri Hospital. Sir was faculty advisor for ISPAR student chapter in Alchandri University. Sir is an expert in conducting systematic review and meta-analysis, and certified in vaccine safety basics by WHO. He is also certified as statistical reasoning in pharmacovigilance by WHO EMC. Sir volunteering various pharmacy services across India. Sir had 30 publications in national international journals. Sir has received as so many honors and awards. Sir did his Bachelor of Pharmacy and Master of Pharmacy in Pharmacoeconomics at JSS College of Pharmacy, Mysore. Sir is doing PhD as research scholar in area of Pharmacoeconomics at Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Mangalore. Sir, we are very thankful to you, sir, giving your valuable time. Sir, you can proceed, share your PPT and you can proceed. See, sir, you can share your PPT. I will stop sharing.
Yes, please. Is it fine now? Is it audible?
It's fine. You can go ahead.
Sorry, is it visible now? PPT?
Yeah, it's audible.
Yeah, the PPT is visible now.
Yeah, slide is visible.
Yeah, very good morning, one and all. It's a great opportunity by Chalabadi College of Pharmacy for giving me an opportunity to deliver a session on introduction of pharmacoeconomics and outcome research. As you all know that pharmacoeconomics is a core area and it is a booming area, especially in Indian settings where we are moving towards the healthcare insurance as well as the reimbursement system. As you all know that outside countries are having a well-established pharmacoeconomic system already established over there, but still in India, it is in infancy stage. Sir, is it fine? Is there any issues in the internet?
Yeah, participants, is it audible to you?
Can anyone
Yes, sir.
reply to that?
Okay, anyone, please respond. Is it audible
Yes,
to you?
it's
Is it
audible.
comfortable?
It's audible. It's clear actually.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so here I start with my session, and probably I don't know how much it will be conveyable for you guys, and I'll try my best to give my inputs towards the pharmacoeconomics. At least you guys can understand what is the basics of pharmacoeconomics and what it is. I'm not expecting much you guys dip into that, and I don't know how much it will be conveyable for you, because it is the first time I am using an online system to deliver my lecture. I mean, as a till date, I was only working towards, or I was talking towards the face-to-face interaction with the students. So I was more comfortable there, but let's see. Anyway, I'll try my best level to deliver my session. And before I'm getting into my session, I'll just give you a core idea what I'm going to deliver today. Right. So today in the morning session, I'll be taking the basics of pharmacoeconomics. What is pharmacoeconomics? What was the introduction of pharmacoeconomics, in the sense, what was the history, how it came into the picture of pharmacy or health sector. Followed by the first session, I'll try to cover the first kind of pharmacoeconomics analysis, which is cost minimization analysis, followed by I'll touch upon cost effectiveness analysis. So most probably I'll be stopping with that two area of pharmacoeconomics in the morning session, and we'll be continuing with the second session, which is cost utility analysis and cost benefit analysis, cost consequences analysis, and cost of illness. If time permit, I'll take you through what is Markov modeling and what is decision tree or decision analysis in healthcare sector. So with this brief introduction, I'm moving towards my first slide. So as I discussed you here, sir, I'm not able to move my slide. Rao sir? Hello? 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 Hello. Hello. Excuse me. Sir, can you hear me? Hello.
It's audible, Rashid.
Sir, it's audible. You may continue.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so now I'm moving towards the session, and in this first session, I'll be taking what is the introduction and what is the definition of pharmacoeconomics. Then followed by I'll be telling you what is the history of pharmacoeconomics, then why we need pharmacoeconomics in India. And as you all know, we always hear that pharmacoeconomics and outcome research. So outcome research is a part of pharmacoeconomics, or it is an area which support the pharmacoeconomic evaluations or pharmacoeconomics area. So I'll be just touching upon a basic what is outcome research. So when we are going to the introduction, as you all guys know that India is the one of the most leading pharmaceutical companies. India is having the most highest system of pharmaceutical companies which import or which give the drug across the world in its best quality. And day by day, all the researchers, basically we pharmaceutical researchers, we are developing or we are coming up with the lead molecule day by day. As we all studied, we will start with the pharmacognosy, and we will move, or first we will move with the pharmaceutics or pharmaceutical chemistry, followed by we'll be generating the each lead molecule, and that lead molecule will be developed in the synthetic area, and we will be coming up with the lead molecule. I know that you all guys are very well having knowledge about that drug development process, and we all know that out of 10,000 drug moiety will be coming out the one best suitable drug moiety, and this drug moiety will be formulated or will be converted into the possible dosage forms and will be undergoing the clinical trials, and finally it will be coming up with the market. It will be coming into the market. So every day there are hundreds of molecules are getting born, or every day development of this kind of new therapies are coming up. So obviously there will be a competition in the market. There will be a competition in the market where which drug is best. So I'll be using already one existing strategy, or I'll be having a set of drug. Suppose if I say one example, we know that we are all using paracetamol for fever or headaches, right? So there is a chance that tomorrow there will be chances that there will be a new drug existing into the market, or a new drug will be coming to the market, which will be better than the paracetamol, or which is already, we all believe that paracetamol is one of the best drug. So there is a chance that tomorrow one new drug will be coming into the market instead of paracetamol. So there will be a question. There will be question in every aspect, including the healthcare policies or makers, or in front of doctors, or finally into the patients or general publics. There will be a question whether I should go for the paracetamol or whether should I go for a new drug which came into the market. And this question leads to checking the comparative analysis. Earlier, this comparative analysis was only regarded to the efficacy aspects. We will only check whether the new drug is efficacious than the paracetamol, or which is already existing in the market. And once we prove that this drug is already better, or this drug is efficacious than the one which is already existing in the market, we will go with the new drug. That was the earlier strategy which was following long time. Followed by, we started studying about the drug safety. We started looking into the adverse drug reactions. We started looking into the side effects. We started looking into the adverse events. And finally, pharmacovigilance system developed. And once they started the booming of pharmacovigilance system, we started looking into the efficacy as well as the safety of the drug. We started looking into the efficacy as well as the safety of the drug. And finally, we decide, even though this drug is efficacious, we will look into the safety aspects of that drug. And we found that this drug is better efficacious with a good safety profile. Then we will move into the new drug, or which we call it as a already than the already existing drug. And this was the second strategy which was following a long time. And next, when there is an establishment of similar existing drug, or there will be coming up with the new drugs which are having the similar efficacy as well as similar safety of the drug, but the difference in case of money or difference in case of cost. So obviously, when pharmaceutical companies are producing the drug, there will be a cost variation. Some pharmaceutical companies will be using very good ingredients, some will not be using that much good ingredients. So obviously, the cost which they want to produce will be varying, and finally that will be coming up with the cost of that particular medication. So third aspect, when we are looking into the drug effectiveness, or when you are going to choose a new drug, the thing will be coming with the cost. So what we started, we have already established efficacy system, we have already established safety system, and next level we are moving towards the cost, or we are moving towards the economy. So from the concept of best cost effective, from the concept of efficacious drug which is having better safety, now we are moving towards, or FDA or any other regulations are moving towards the best cost effective drug. It is not only depend on the efficacy, it is not only depend on the safety, and we are looking to the cost effective. Even though it is having a good efficacy, it is having a good safety, it should be affordable by the common people, or it should be affordable by the people who are going to take that medicine. That is a concept of economics, and that is how pharmacoeconomics came into existence. I hope the basic concepts how the pharmacoeconomics came into the existence will be clear. So with this, I'm moving towards the definition. As you all know that pharma means drug, economic means the cost or financial status. So here in definition, what we are doing means we are combining, or we are comparing the drug efficacy or drug safety or drug effectiveness with the cost incurred to that treatment. That is the basic concept of pharmacoeconomics. Pharmacoeconomics you break into two. Pharmac means a drug, economics means money. So when you are comparing the money with the drug effect, that is basic of pharmacoeconomics. So if you go to the definition, pharmacoeconomics mainly focus towards the cost and consequences of the treatment. Pharmacoeconomics mostly looking towards the cost and the consequences of the treatment. And this system or the model, which we call it as eco model, where we'll be looking to the economic aspect of the drug, we'll be looking into the clinical aspect of the drug, as well as we'll be looking into the humanistic outcome. And as you all clear, economic means the monetary aspect, which is in terms of rupee in India, in terms of dollar in America, or it depends on the system of their monetary, we will change it accordingly. So that is what we call it as economic system. Next one is clinical aspect. Clinical, as you all know that what we get of the treatment is called it as clinical outcome. Suppose you are giving a patient an antihypertensive medication, you are giving enalapril or you are giving ramipril for his hypertension, and after the giving the treatment, his blood pressure is getting reduced. That is what it is called it as clinical outcome. You are giving a paracetamol to the patient, his temperature is getting down, that is called it as clinical outcome. So I hope you guys are clear with what is economic outcome, what is clinical outcome. Now there is one more outcome which we call it as humanistic outcome, and which is not in terms of economic, or it is not in terms of clinical. That I will teach you, I will just deliver you once I move into the outcome research. So here it addresses the eco aspects of the healthcare, economic, clinical, humanistic outcome aspects of the healthcare. It can be in the prevention, or it can be in the diagnosis, or it can be in the treatment, or it can be in the management. And now what I say you, there is a term which is called it as pharmacoeconomic, and other term is called it as health economics. There is two terms, one is pharmacoeconomics, another one is health economics. So there are like brothers. So how it will come in the sense, health economics, if you are looking this kind of comparison, you are looking the comparison of effectiveness with the cost in terms of all healthcare sector. It can be in the prevention of a disease, or it can be in the diagnosis of a disease, or it can be in the treatment of disease, or it can be in the management of disease. If you are looking to the monetary aspects as well as the effectiveness of this particular aspect in any sector of healthcare, that is called it as health economics. I'll give you an example. Suppose I'm checking out to diagnose a brain tumor, better to use CT or better to use MRI. I have two diagnostic tools. One is MRI, another one is CT. So if I'm checking how much CT is cost effective for the diagnosis of brain tumor when compared to the MRI, that kind of analysis is called it as health economics. Are you clear? Health economics. Next one, as I said you, there is one more concept which is called it as pharmacoeconomics. Instead of these terms, when we are moving only, or when we are only conflicting, or when we are only looking to the drug aspects or pharmacological treatment aspect, that is called it as pharmacoeconomics. So pharmacoeconomics is a part of health economics, and health economics cover all aspects of health, but pharmacoeconomics will cover only the drug treatment. That is the difference between pharmacoeconomics to the health economics, but one or the other way, both are same when you are looking only to the drug aspects. With this, I am moving to the definition of both. Pharmacoeconomic techniques include, as I said you, cost minimization analysis, cost effectiveness analysis, cost utility analysis, cost benefit analysis, cost of illness analysis, cost consequence. These are different set of analysis which are involved in the pharmacoeconomic techniques to compare the pharmaceutical products with the treatment strategies. That what is called it as pharmacoeconomics. But when you look into the health economics, it is referred to the comparison with non-pharmacological therapy, prevention strategies such as surgical intervention, medical devices, or skin technique. As I said you, health economics will cover all aspects of health, and pharmacoeconomics will cover only to the drug aspects or the pharmaceutical products aspect. So with this definition, this is the same thing what I said you. In the mid of that both squares, there is a drug, and you are looking at the cost with the outcome of the drug treatment, that is called it as pharmacoeconomics. So we'll look into the history. As I said you, in the early 60s, we started with the pharmacy education, and slowly all the aspects of different set of pharmaceutics, clinical pharmacy, drug information, all these different disciplines of pharmacy getting added into it. And in the early 1970s, pharmacoeconomics rooted its root in the healthcare sector. And if you look into the history, there was three main guys. There are three professors: McGann, Roland, and Bootman. These were the three professors who were from University of Minnesota, and they were the guys, or they were the professors who contributed a lot into the pharmacoeconomics, and they introduced the term which is called it as cost benefit as well as cost effectiveness analysis in 1978. And what they did means they came up with an evaluation where they were evaluated the outcomes of individualizing aminoglycoside dosage regimen in severely burned patients in the gram-negative septicemia using sophisticated pharmacokinetic protocols. So what they did, they have checked when you are individualizing the aminoglycoside dosage forms, or when you are giving, as you all know, individualized drug therapy, or we call it as precision medicine, is a newer concept which is booming in India. So what they did, they have started studying when you individualize this treatment into the patient to patient, how much it is cost effective. In burned patients, they are having the gram-negative septicemia. The treatment was aminoglycoside, and what they did, they published that first pharmacy article in which is in 1979 by the Bootman and colleague, the same guys who introduced the concept of cost effective or cost benefit in 1978. And 1986, the pharmacoeconomics, the best term pharmacoeconomics is appeared in 1986 by Townsend conducted a study on post-marketing drug research and development. In that, the pharmacoeconomics term has been introduced by first time. Followed by the same professors, Townsend, Raymond, Bootman, they delivered, or they published the first textbook in field of pharmacoeconomics in 1990. So, as you all know that ISPO, International Society for Pharmacoeconomics and Outcome Research, it is having a number one right now. I think that is one of the biggest society or biggest organization in the field of health, which is established in 1995, and the same William McGann was the first president of ISPA chapters. And now, from the professional educational level, assigned to the disciplines of pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, and pharmacoeconomics is also inputted into the PharmD syllabus and as well as the MPharm syllabus, or what we say into the pharmacoeconomics aspects came into the pharmacy disciplines. And now the question, we know that pharmacoeconomics is, we know the definition right now. I mean, we know what it is and we know how it came. And now the question is that why we need pharmacoeconomics? Actually, I already said to you why we need in the starting phase, I just touched upon. And now we look why we need pharmacoeconomics specifically. If you look into this, that is what assisting decision making. As I said, the first point come into the mind is decision making when you think of the pharmacoeconomics. So decision making is an ability of any clinical pharmacist. I clearly said you clinical pharmacist. It's an ability or it's a primary must and skill any clinical pharmacist should have to decide which treatment I should go to my patient. If you are not able to decide whether I should go for drug A or drug B to my patient who is having an X condition, you have failed there. I clearly say if you are not able to decide whether you should go with the drug A or drug B for an X condition, you have failed there. So you should have an ability. The one of the good ability any clinical pharmacist should have is decision making. Otherwise, you will have to always run behind the doctors to decide whether I should go with this drug or this drug. So you should be able to tell that you should have a good knowledge, you should have a good understanding, you should have a clinical interpretation knowledge. So with that, you should be able to tell which drug should I go with this particular patient. So though you can see the first condition is assist in decision making. So when you think whether I should go with the drug A or drug B for this particular condition in my patient, you should look first into the efficacy of the drug, whether the drug B is efficacious than the drug A. Next thing, you should look into the safety, whether this drug B is safer than drug A. Suppose safety and efficacy is compromised, you should look into the cost. Suppose you are choosing a drug which is having 10,000, more than 10,000 rupees to my patient. Will your patient is able to afford it? You should think of that as well. You know, right, we are having a practice of directly putting meropenem without any indication. So you should think when you put meropenem, is it really affordable to your patient? Is it cost effective treatment what you are choosing? So with that, you should be able to decide whether your treatment is cost effective, not effective. You should be able to tell whether the treatment is cost effective. With the knowledge of cost effectiveness, you should decide, you should be able to decide whether this particular drug which I am going to choose my patient is really good for him or not. That is where pharmacoeconomics play an important role. This concept of pharmacoeconomics will assist in decision making. Second one, assessing the value of the new agent. As I said you the same way, when a new drug is coming up, whether that drug is having any value when compared to the old drug, you should have a pharmacoeconomics analysis. Next one, justify the addition of a new clinical service. This is the one of the best important or one of the best important application of pharmacoeconomics. As you all know that we are moving towards the interventions. Every day we are coming up with the new interventions. It can be simple patient counseling aspects, or it can be coming up with the new clinics or anticoagulation clinics or asthma clinic or whatever it is. I'm coming up with a new strategy of delivering a best clinical pharmacy practice. So what I do, I'm developing a asthma clinic or I'm developing a anticoagulation or coagulation clinic for my patients. So when I am coming up with the new aspect of the intervention, when I'm coming up with a new clinic, whether it is cost effective to the patient, I am spending so much of money, I'm spending lakhs of rupees to establish that particular clinic, whether the patient will get benefit out of that. How you are going to assess it? That is a question. Which is not simply introducing a new clinic and working some people over there and just delivering the service what you are going to do. You should assess it. whether it is really effective to the patient. Suppose it is effective, yeah, patient is telling, yeah, your clinic is best, I get lot much of information from you, that's the best one. Then how you are going to decide whether it is cost effective or not? Okay, it is effective, but you are spending so much of money behind that. You are giving the salary to the clinical pharmacist, or you are bringing so much of instruments over there. But you should think whether it is really cost effective or not. For that, you should have a pharmacoeconomics evaluation. I'll teach you how to develop this pharmacoeconomic evaluation in providing a new clinical service when I touch upon cost benefit analysis. So now I'm moving to the next point, which is comparing, as I said you, to compare two different strategies. Then the final one, which is most important, is concept of health insurance. It is a concept of health insurance. This is not that much like established in our Indian setup, but if you look into the foreign countries, they have health insurance, they don't have to pay anything from their own pocket. But if you look into the India, we have everything out of pocket expenditure. So hopefully another 10-20 years we can have a move, or we can see a change in the concept of health insurance system in India. So how health insurance will come into the picture? They are not looking into the efficacy or safety when we are saying that, or a doctor or a clinical pharmacist is saying that drug B is better than drug A. When you say drug B is better than drug A, and when health insurance company is going to pay, they will look into the pharmacoeconomics. They will not look into the efficacy, whether it is effective or safe. You are giving to the patient, not to them. So what they will look into the money. They will look into the money. So when they are going to pay 1,000 rupees for that particular patient out of their health insurance, they will clearly look into the pharmacoeconomics. They are not looking into the pharmacy aspects or the drug effectiveness. They are looking into the pharmacoeconomics aspects of the drug. That is where we need pharmacoeconomics. So especially in India, when you look, as I said you, the which is very much required in India, priorities of the populace. As you know, India is having different set of cultural as well as all the set of biochemical parameters, or the set of food habits or life habits or whatever it is very much diverse in India when you consider any other country. India is having largest diversity in all aspects, whether even simple, the treatment strategy, what I am using in Manipal will not be same what you are using in the Mangalore. It is not same in the Bangalore. It is not same in the Delhi. It is not same in the Kolkata. So everywhere the treatment strategy is varying. So the what economics or what the concept of treatment you are having here, if you say drug A is cost effective than drug B in Bangalore, but may not be applicable in Bangalore. You have to check what is their economics outcome, or what is their economic things over there, and then you have to prioritize the population accordingly. You have to move with the treatment. And you have to, when you are looking into the antibiotics, right, antibiotics is the one of the other antibiotics, stewardship, antibiogram, all the steps. That there are many drugs which are having the resistance in some area when considered to other area. So there also, when you are choosing a best antibiotic which is having the lowest resistance in that area, there also you have to look into the pharmacoeconomics. Next one, drug price control. For controlling the drug price of new entities or new drugs into the market, you need a pharmacoeconomic evaluation. Next one, lack of specific product patent. We don't have much patent. So when we are looking into the, when we are exporting or when you are importing the drugs from outside into India, most of the drugs which we are selling in India is having a patent or is having a approval from FDA or any other US drugs markets. So when you are importing that into the India, you should look into the cost effectiveness, not into the effectiveness. Effectiveness will be there. That is why FDA is given the approval. But you should look whether that particular drug is able to afford by your Indian population. That's where the another important things when it comes to the product patent. Then limited spread of health, concept of health insurance, as I said, it is very much lacking in India. So you should need a pharmacoeconomics. So as I said, to build a healthy India, you should be able to provide a cost effective. Otherwise, if you are providing only effective, the people will die because of poverty. You will utilize all their money to give the treatment, but at the end of the day, they don't have the money, they will die. So you should provide a cost effective treatment. As well as widespread availability of therapeutic drugs and medical services. We have hundreds of drugs as well as the therapeutic services in India. So to decide which one is best, you should have a pharmacoeconomics. Then acceptable quality. There are sometimes we have to compromise in terms of quality. That I will teach you when I go to the cost effectiveness analysis. We have, suppose we have two drugs which is having almost similar quality, but one is just down to the other one. So there is some aspects you have to go with the second choice. That I'll tell you when we have to go there. Then affordable right to all citizens, whatever the drug which you are choosing should be affordable to any citizens of India. The Indian pharmaceutical industry, they should have a brand image by producing the best quality medication which is cost effective. They'll be ready to produce the best quality medicine and they will have lot much of expense. But when they are producing the best quality drug, they should get something back. That should be in terms of money. So they will check cost effective. That is the next strategy. Synergize the scientific principles of traditional system of medicine with that form of modern medicine. We know that nowadays Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani system is coming booming up through Ayush and any other programs. So whatever it is, so we know that we have a set of traditional medicine. India is famous for set of traditional medicine. So when you are coping up this traditional set of medicine with the modern medicine of allopathic medicine, you should be able to have a cost-effective strategy over there. Then when you are launching a new innovative or inexpensive products, you should be able to tell whether it is cost effective for the public healthcare. Then environment for research and innovation, there are a lot of scopes for the research and innovation in India where you can focus more towards the pharmacoeconomics aspects of each and everything in healthcare sector. Then decontrol of price, as I said you, when a new drug is coming or already existing drug, when they are shifting it from one market to another market, we should have a decontrol of price. For that, you need pharmacoeconomic evaluations. So as I said you, I have covered with the basics of pharmacoeconomics. Simple, don't get panic. It's simple things is that pharmacoeconomics compare drug therapeutic effectiveness with the cost. Just compare therapeutics effectiveness with the cost. That is what it is called it as pharmacoeconomics. So when you're coming to the outcome research, now I'm moving to the outcome research. I just stopped pharmacoeconomics. Outcome research, as I said you, it is a part of pharmacoeconomics. Through the outcome research only, we will conduct all the pharmacoeconomics evaluations. The outcome research, by definition, it evaluates the effect of healthcare interventions on patient-related economic, clinical, and humanistic outcome. As I said to you, ECHO model, economic, clinical, humanistic outcome. Simple thing, economic, as I said you, we look into the monetary aspect, which is in terms of cost of rupee or whatever it is. Economics, you are clear. Economic, you can see resource use, work productivity, burden of illness, cost effectiveness. There are many methods to calculate economic impact of the or economic research in that. Next one, clinical. I will take you one by one. As you said, you clinical outcome. Clinical outcome, which will come from the result from the disease or from the treatment. After you give the treatment, what happened to your patient? What he got? What improvement he had in your disease? That is what it is, clinical outcome. And that will be measured in terms of health status. That will be measured in terms of health status. Suppose I'm giving antihypertensive medication, how much blood pressure is reduced? I'm giving hyperglycemic drugs or diabetic medication. I will check what is his HbA1c or what is his RBS or FBS or PPBS, whatever it is, we'll check with that. And when you look into the clinical outcome, there are two types of clinical outcome. One is intermediate outcome, another one is final outcome. Intermediate outcome, we have to check in different intervals. Suppose I'm giving any patient for the same example which I said you. So I will check every day or I will check in alternative days. That is what it is called as intermediate outcome. But when you look into the final outcome, that is single time it will happen. Clinical outcome you are measuring only once. Suppose death we cannot measure intermediately. We can measure only once. That is what it is called as final outcome. Suppose there are many trials which will check the mortality. As you all know, you are more familiar, like looking into that the publications and literature. You all know that there is one basic concept or major outcome which any drugs will be measured in clinical trials will be death or mortality or 90 days mortality, whatever it is. So that kind of single time measured outcome is called as final clinical outcome. If you are measuring every day or alternative day or once in a week, that's what called as intermediate outcome. So this is the one type of outcome which we measure in outcome research. And this can be measured, as I said, in clinical trials or any kind of post-marketing studies such as cohort studies or other type of study designs. And here one example I'll say you. If you are looking into the disease, impact of diabetes on patients. If I'm looking what is the impact of diabetes on the patients, That is a kind of clinical outcome. Next one, if I'm giving a statin for the prevention of MI or stroke, if I'm checking what happens, whether the MI incidence is reduced or stroke incidence is reduced after I'm giving the statin, because you know that statin is the one of the most preventive strategy for angina or MI. So when you are giving angina or MI patient that you are giving atorvastatin or any other statin, you are checking whether the incidence of MI or stroke is getting reduced. That is a kind of clinical outcome what you are measuring in the intervention. Similarly, we have compliance system, we have healthcare delivery. Suppose you are giving RNTCP protocol, you need to check why whether my RNTCP protocol, when I am adhering to RNTCP protocol, whether it is effective or not. That you can measure only to the clinical outcome, whether that is controlling your TB in your patients. That is what clinical outcome will come into the picture. So as I said you, I don't know whether I am fast or not. Okay, so since I can't see the faces, so I'm bit okay, fine, I will continue. So outcome research, I said you first one is clinical outcome, where we'll check with the measurable clinical benefit which patient is getting from the treatment. Next one is economic outcome. As I said you, we'll be checking with the cost of the treatment, or we'll be checking in terms of monetary aspects, which will be done through economic evaluations or any pharmacoeconomic evaluations. There are different types which I said you: cost minimization analysis, cost effectiveness, cost utility, and whatever we are going to check, that is all comes under economics outcome. Third one is a very interesting one. Actually, it's very kind of nowadays we are looking more towards the humanistic outcome than the clinical outcome. You all will be familiar with quality of life. You all might have heard quality of life, QOL, HRQL, this, then, that. Okay. So that is a kind of humanistic outcome. The understanding of humanistic outcome is such a way that economic outcome you can measure in terms of monetary outcomes, that means cost. Clinical outcome you can measure in any terms of biochemical parameters, or is final end of the clinical outcome or disease out of that what is getting. But humanistic outcome is an outcome which you cannot measure. Are you getting me? Are you following me? Humanistic outcome is a human outcome which a clinical pharmacist or physician or clinician or anyone cannot measure it. It has to be reported by that particular patient. It has to be reported by that particular patient. That kind of outcome is called it as humanistic outcome. If I say one example, pain, my pain I only can reveal, right? You cannot measure it. When I am saying I have pain, I cannot say I have 100 ml of pain, right? That has to be decided, or that has to be expressed by myself. That kind of outcome is called it as humanistic outcome. One example, as I said, health related quality of life. What is my quality of life right now? I only can say. You cannot say how much quality of life I am having right now, right? That kind of patient experience or patient preference or patient satisfaction, such kind of outcome which cannot be measured by a second person, which can be impact of an intervention on patient reported endpoint, which can be only expressed or which can be given only by the patient, that is called it as humanistic outcome. So these are the three outcomes: clinical outcome, as I said, which can be measured. Second one is our economic outcome, which can be measured in terms of cost. And third one is humanistic outcome. This is about the outcome research. And here I end with my first presentation, which is on basics of or introduction to the pharmacoeconomics and outcome research. I request Rao sir to ask the participants if they want to share anything,
Yeah,
so that I can move to
Dr.
the next
Rashid.
one.
Yeah, participants, it's time to interact with Rashid, Mr. Rashid. Participant, it's open to you. The Rashid sir is ready to answer you regarding what has he covered. My dear students, students,
I hope there is no questions, sir. I don't know.
yeah, you have cleared such a way. No, because
Yeah, if
in
you
my
have any
experience,
comments or anything, you can please put it up so that I can improve in my next session.
yeah, yeah.
Hi, Rashid.
Yeah,
And
yes,
this is
Monica.
Nikita.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask something related to the humanistic burden. As you are
Yes.
telling regarding the HRQL and all, um, actually what you told is right. Like no one can't express the one patient's feeling.
Yes.
So there are something like the scales used for QL as well as the disability. So were these also covered? Like, are you going to give some brief on this?
Actually, I have a third presentation on that. If time permits, I will just have a summary up on that. I have each the presentation is ready with me. If time
Okay.
permits, we will have a discussion on that. Each
Okay.
questionnaire I will discuss. What is HRQL? What is how we are checking quality as life
Yeah.
years. Then we are checking daily disability adjusted life years. We have some more measures. All those things I can discuss if time permits. But I will try my maximum to discuss that. At least quality and daily I will discuss so that you will get a good idea
Okay.
about that.
Okay. Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, PharmD students, any other participants can interact with sir so that otherwise I will go for one more session. Yeah, participant, please unmute your mic and let interact with sir. Yeah, Ellen Rose, Thomas. It is not like pharmacology and pharmacotherapeutics. The pharmacoeconomics, it is until unless we don't interact with sir, we cannot know what exactly it is. There are limited people available like Muhammad sir and some people who are working in Awadis and marksmen. So we need to utilize such a professional people. Yeah, Thomas, Jojo. Yeah, you can speak. Shivam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, why don't you communicate?
Okay, sir, if this pharmacoeconomics is applicable in case of rare diseases?
Actually, it depends on the condition. Suppose if you have a good number of patients, suppose if there is a very rare condition, you will get one patient in once in 10 year. In that situation, you will have suppose two drugs. If the patient is able to, there is a simple comparison. Suppose you have two different drugs on a very rare disease. So usually when any rare disease comes, we don't have much pharmacoeconomic evaluation which are already available on that, right? So what we do, we will conduct a small pharmacoeconomic evaluation then and there only. Suppose I say, like I said you one example, I have a disease which happens once in 10 years. I will get one patient in 10 years. So what I will have, actually there will not be any protocol for that. So what you need to do, you have to have a trial and error method, first of all for the treatment of that particular patient. So once you find that particular patient is having use of that particular drug or it is getting benefited, then you can think of a pharmacoeconomic evaluation over there. So first you try with one drug, you have not getting any effectiveness out of that. You will try with the second drug, you will try with the third drug. So when you are getting an effectiveness, when you are getting only one drug is effective out of these three, you don't require a pharmacoeconomics. You can only go with the effectiveness because other two drugs are not effective. Then you don't have to think of a cost effectiveness. I said you to look at cost effectiveness, we should have a drug which is having effectiveness, right?
Okay.
So when that particular drug is effective, only one drug out of three is effective, you can go only with the effectiveness analysis and you can treat that patient. But you have two different drugs which are having the same effectiveness and only difference in cost. That time you will do a pharmacoeconomics. That I will tell you one by one condition when I look into the next slide. Is the
Okay,
my
okay. Thank you, sir.
screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, sister, shall we push one next
Yes,
session?
sir. Yes, sir. Please, we'll move into next one.
Okay, thank you. You can share your PPT and
Oh,
go.
so
Okay, thank you,
Yes,
Shivam.
please.
So actually, I had one doubt.
Yes, please ask.
Sir, regarding the humanistic approach, okay. So you said that it's a set of questionnaire wherein the patient answers all the question, right, sir? So the humanistic approach can cause bias in the study, right?
It depends. It depends. There are when I look tell about cost utility analysis,
Mhm.
there is a step where we have to decide who is going to give the answer for your outcome. I mean, the quality or means any kind of humanistic outcome.
Okay.
There are actually it should be experienced by the patient.
Hmm.
Suppose the patient is in a state of coma, or he is in a state of unconscious, or he is in a ventilator. So obviously the patient cannot give his quality of life. So there is another option. What you can do, there will be one nurse who will be taking care of that patient. So if you ask that nurse whether the patient is having restlessness, or the patient is having any sleep disturbance, or the patient is having any issues, at least you can understand some kind of quality of life of that patient, which may not be completely known. So it depends on the situation, it depends on the condition where this will be having a variation, but ultimately the humanistic outcome which is patient centered.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir.
Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah, sir. Thank you,
Is
sir.
it clear? Or else I
Yes.
can repeat.
Yeah, yeah, it's clear. It's
Actually,
clear, sir.
basically, humanistic outcome is patient-centered outcome.
Yeah.
But who will be giving the answer to the questionnaire, or who will be measuring it, or who will be answering to that particular aspect will be varying depending on the condition to condition. Suppose you are using a patient who is having cancer and who is healthy. You don't have to depend on the nurses or anyone. You can directly give to the patient. But the patient
Okay.
is in critical care. Still, you need to assess his quality of life. You cannot depend on the patient. You may have to go with the nurse, or you may have to go with the patient attender, whoever it is.
Okay.
Is that clear? So it
Yeah, yeah.
depends. But
It
the
is clear, sir.
outcome generation will be on patient centering. That is the concept.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Understood. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any
So shall
participants?
I move into next one?
Yeah. So without wasting time, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. So now I'll move into the pharmacoeconomic evaluations.
Is
The
the
slides
participant,
are visible.
Dr. Rashid's becoming a doctor. I'm requesting participant. It is not like some simply listening one side. The such a personality who have industrial experience. Until unless, please unmute your mic and interact with sir. You can stop meanwhile also. He doesn't mind because the teaching means the teacher will teach you, but the industry exposure we cannot get from teacher. But we have to communicate with such a personalities how they do the studies, because the subject you can read by books or something, but the experience you have to take from the such a people how we can do the projects. So the see some people how they interacting regarding projects, how you have to take the samples, how you relate to the projects with the sample size. Means there are the limited studies happening in the pharmacoeconomics in India. So there are limited people are there. Why can't you be in part of that by expecting more salaries? So I'm requesting you participants, please interact, make yourself question, and you can stop. Meanwhile, you can raise your hand by clicking on your phone or laptop. You can interact. Please feel free to ask. Thank you. You can go ahead.
Sir, may I?
So
Thank
this
you, sir.
is it the slides is available? I mean visible?
Pharmacoeconomic evaluation is available. You can go ahead.
Yes. So with your permission, I am moving towards my next presentation, which is on pharmacoeconomic evaluations.
Yeah.
And don't afraid of this much content. It is just I kept for understanding. So
Yes.
I will be telling what are the different types of pharmaco. It's all one single slide. Don't look into the whole contents. Okay. So it's just what I will say you the types of different pharmacoeconomic evaluation. Then what is cost and types of cost. Then I will tell you what is cost minimization analysis, cost effectiveness analysis, cost utility analysis, cost benefit analysis, cost consequences, and cost effectiveness. And finally, I will be touching upon Markov modeling and decision analysis. And as Nigita said, I'll be touching upon the health related quality of life also if time permits. Or else I will I'll try to tell you what is health related quality of life and how to calculate quality, daily, and when I'm explaining cost utility analysis. So depends on the situation to situation, we will vary. So as I said you, I just wanted to be aware that these much topics are there in pharmacoeconomics, and there is a huge opportunity for research and publications out of this.
Exactly.
And types of pharmacoeconomics, this is the Bible of pharmacoeconomics. This table, if you really understood, the pharmacoeconomics is almost within you. So symbol, basically there are 4 analyses. You just follow me. If you can write down some scribbling points also fine. There are basically 4 analyses. I'll tell you the shortcuts: CMA, CEA, CUA, and CBA. CMA, CEA, CUA, and CBA. The first one is cost minimization analysis. Second one is cost effectiveness analysis. Third one is cost utility analysis. And the final one is cost benefit analysis. Yes, Deepak?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. I'm looking.
Yes, so we have 4 analysis basically: cost minimization, cost effectiveness, cost utility, and cost benefit analysis. So as I said to you, everywhere we have 2 edges or 2 aspects which we will be looking. One is cost, another one is outcome. One is cost, another one is outcome. The first slide was like that: cost, outcome, drug. So we have cost, we have outcome. Is that concept is clear? For analysis, 2 edges. One is cost, another one is outcome. Cost. So be clear with the concept. If you understood this slide, it will be very easy for me to follow, tell you, and it will be easy for you to remember and recollect further. So just understand this slide completely. Single slide, I will finish the whole pharmacoeconomics.
Yeah, small
So there
request.
are 4 analysis, which is cost minimization, cost.
Rashid,
Yes,
small.
sir. Tell me.
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
Participants, my dear students, please make notes by looking for headings: cost minimization, cost effectiveness, cost utility, and cost benefit. But there is much things to do with this. So as Sari is saying that, please make notes, and how we will take you to how to make the projects. Please take notes. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So as I said you, for analysis, 2 edges. One is cost, another one is effectiveness or the outcome. As I said you, cost will be always in monetary units. It can be in Indian rupees in India. It can be US dollars in US. It can be Australian dollars in Australia. So it depends on the area, or it depends on the place or the uh, country where you are conducting. It will be confined into the cost. It will be confined into the money, or it can be confined into the uh, amount of money which you are paying to get that particular outcome. So to adjust, cost is covered. Every analysis, cost will be in monetary units. For analysis, first edge is cost. All cost will be in terms of money. Another part is outcome, and your type of evaluation and your type of pharmacoeconomics evaluation will be depends on your outcome, because all the cost I fixed, so there is no change in this. So cost is constant, money is constant, only the outcome will be varying. So when outcome is varying, your type of evaluation will be varying. So you cannot fix, before you into the research, you cannot fix which type of evaluation you are going to do. I cannot say that I am going to do a cost minimization analysis in so and so disease before I am getting introduced, because I don't know what kind of outcome I am going to measure in that. Once I get to know which type of outcome I am going to measure, I will be deciding whether I should go for CMA, CEA, CUA, or CBA. So it depends on that, it will vary. Is that clear, guys? So I hope I'm moving to next one. As I said, cost is fixed. Next one is outcome. So in cost minimization outcome, you are not looking into the outcome. In the sense, you are looking into the outcome, but you are not comparing the outcomes which you are getting from the 2 different drugs. Always concept is that we are comparing 2 different drugs, right? So what I have, I am sure that 2 drugs are having the similar efficacy, only difference in terms of cost. So I'm not going to check any outcome out of there. I'm just saying that there is a difference in cost and I'm just comparing these two. That is called as cost minimization analysis. Cost is constant means I have the cost, I have the outcome, but outcome is similar for both the drugs. Outcome is similar for the both drugs. So I'm not going to measure any new outcome in there. That type of evaluation is called as cost minimization analysis. This is the basic answer. Cost is cost only. Benefit will not be measured here as we believe that both drugs are having the similar efficacy. That is what it is called as cost minimization analysis. When you are moving into the cost effectiveness analysis, the cost will be monetary units only, but the outcome will be in terms of clinical outcome, which I said you in echo model. We have a clinical outcome where we will be measuring the outcomes in terms of natural units or in terms of any biochemical or any other parameters. That is where we go with the cost effectiveness. So cost minimization, we have cost analysis, but we don't have an outcome to measure. But in cost effectiveness, we have the cost in one side and we have outcome in terms of natural units or clinical benefit. Okay. Third one, cost utility analysis. As I said you, we have cost analysis in one sector and other area we have outcome in terms of utility outcomes, or we call it as QALY, DALY, or any other kind of humanistic outcome. This is where the humanistic outcome plays an important. So if you are taking any clinical outcome, that analysis will become cost effectiveness analysis. If you are taking any humanistic outcome, that analysis will call it as cost utility analysis. The next one, cost benefit analysis. Here the funny thing is that the cost will be in terms of cost only, but the outcome also will be converted into cost. Are you following me? The outcome also will be converted into the cost. Cost means outcome also will be converted into the monetary units. That is the important point which you have to remember in the cost benefit analysis. So for analysis, cost minimization, you have cost but benefit you are not going to measure. Cost effectiveness, you have cost and benefit you are going to measure in natural units or any clinical outcomes. Cost utilization analysis, you have cost and outcome you are going to measure in terms of utility outcome or humanistic outcome. Cost benefit analysis, you have cost and outcome you are going to measure in terms of monetary units, or the outcome will be converted into the monetary units. This is the basic understanding of all four different types of pharmacoeconomic evaluation. So this is what it will come, the whole picture of pharmacoeconomic evaluation. So now I will move one by one evaluation, so that each one by one evaluation I will stop. So I said you one sector is cost. So we'll decide how we are like dividing the cost. Majorly, there are three types of cost. Three types of cost. One is direct cost, another one is indirect cost, and third one is intangible cost. Keep a count. Three cost: direct cost, indirect cost, and intangible cost. And this direct cost is again converted into direct medical cost and direct non-medical cost. This direct cost again divided into direct medical cost and direct non-medical cost. So basically three: direct medical cost, indirect cost, and intangible cost. Sorry, direct cost, indirect cost, and intangible cost. And direct cost is again divided into direct medical cost and direct non-medical cost. So simple concept, direct means you are paying directly to get a medical facility. Direct means you are paying directly, or you are using that money for to get a direct medical facility. If you are using that money for a medical reason, that is called as medical direct cost. Are you following me? If you are using the money, or if you are paying the money to get a direct medical facility, that is called as direct medical cost. So here if you see the example, laboratory test, medication, hospital charge, bed charge, practitioner charge, all the charges which you are giving for the drug or any other facility, you are giving that money to get a direct medical facility, that is called as direct medical cost. But there are some costs which you have to pay it is not direct to get a medical facility, but it is indirectly or it is related to get that medical facility in an another way. That is called as direct medical cost. When you are going to the hospital, you are paying for the medical facility. It can be any cost which you are paying to get a medical facility. It can be indirectly or it can be directly. That is called as direct medical cost. Please don't mute my mic. Sir, is it, am I audible? Hello?
It's fine
Yeah,
now. Rashid
yeah,
sir, you
sure.
can.
It's all.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Yeah, please don't mute
Rashid
my
sir, you
mic.
can share PPT and go ahead.
Okay, fine. Please. So there are one first type is direct medical cost which I am paying to get the medical facility.
Yeah,
It
it's
can be
audible. Share your PPT and go ahead.
PPT is not shared.
Happened, I think, I don't know.
Just a moment, sir. I think when somebody joined, it has been gone. Is it fine now?
No, sir, it's not same.
Yeah. 1 second, sir. Is it visible now?
No.
Hello.
Not yet, Rashid.
Okay, 1 second.
Hello? Rashid sir,
1 second.
please share your PPT. On your PPT and your voice is unmuted automatically. I don't know. Are you sharing?
Yeah. I think somebody joined that time. It went off. Is it fine now?
Yeah, it's sharing. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
guys. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, you direct medical cost which we are paying to get the medical facility. It can be any cost which you are paying for the laboratory, which we are paying for the medical doctors or any attenders or any other charges which you are directly paying to get a medical facility. That is called as direct medical cost. When you are going to the direct non-medical cost, you are paying this amount not directly for a medical reason, but this is the amount which you are paying to get a medical cost in an another way. That is called as direct non-medical cost. Suppose I said an example, when I am going from my home to the hospital, I am paying some money for the traveling. That is a kind of direct non-medical cost. You are not paying directly for a medical cost for medical reason, but that has to be paid to get a medical reason, medical cost. That is called as direct non-medical cost. Like that, food, transportation, your lodging, your stay or your relative stay, all these will come under direct non-medical cost. So under direct two cost, one is direct medical cost, another one is direct non-medical cost. So direct medical cost which you are paying for getting all the medical facilities, and direct non-medical cost which you are paying to get a medical facility. Second one is indirect cost. You are not Next one is indirect cost, which you are not paying to get a direct medical facility. What is happening means, suppose out of the treatment, one patient is dead. This we cannot actually calculate right now in India. We don't have a set of guideline to calculate this kind of indirect cost in India. But in outside countries, suppose sometimes we have. I can't say completely we don't have. Suppose if I say one example, I've give the treatment and the patient is dead. That is called as mortality, as you know. That is called. So if you look into the UK guideline and all, if one person is dead because of a treatment, that family will be reimbursed with $32,000. That family will be reimbursed with $32,000, and that this cost calculation will come under indirect cost. Are you clear? So that it is not a direct medical facility you are paying, or it is not for a direct medical or direct non-medical cost. This is something indirect cost which will be paid because of a morbidity or mortality. That is what it is called as indirect cost. Next one is intangible cost, which does not come under this both. You can calculate this both, as I said, suppose even though we don't have a system in India, but we have some best established systems in UK and all. We calculate even indirect cost also. But the third one, intangible cost, it's very difficult to calculate in our own setup because we have a wide diversity of aspects. There are so many inconvenience, sufferings, and many other issues, pain, and all those things. But when you look into the health insurance or when you look into the economics evaluations, you have to put a cost for each and everything. You have to put a cost for each and everything. Because simple example I will say you, I am injecting an intravenous to the patient. I am doing a pharmacoeconomic evaluation for that. So when you are pricking, Sergeant, can you please mute your mic? Hello, Sergeant. So when you are, sorry, I am lost. So when you are injecting a patient with an intravenous new drug administration, so when you are injecting, that patient will get a pain because of my injection. That also you have to calculate as an intangible cost when you are doing a pharmacoeconomic evaluation. That is where the importance of pharmacoeconomics will come. You are looking to the completely to the patient aspects. You are looking completely to the patient aspects, and you are not any kind of material or any kind of what we say outcomes which we are getting from the patient. So these are the different types of costs. As a like overall, I will tell you there are three costs mainly: direct cost, indirect cost, and intangible cost. Direct cost, what you are paying to get the medical facility. If you are directly paying to get a medical facility, that is called as direct medical cost. You are paying some in other way, but to get a medical facility, that is called as direct non-medical cost. And indirect cost, which is generated because of any morbidity or mortality, and intangible cost is for any inconvenience, suffering, pain, all other things which will come under humanistic outcome. So I'll tell you how to calculate each and everything when I say each and every analysis. So I'm moving to the first analysis, which is cost minimization analysis. As I said, your cost minimization analysis is the simplest form of pharmacoeconomic evaluation. It is simple analysis, but to do this analysis, you should have a hypothesis or you should have evidence that these two comparator, which I am going to compare drug A versus drug B, these two drugs should have same efficacy and same safety. If these two drugs are not having the same efficacy and same safety, you cannot do a cost minimization analysis. To do a cost minimization analysis, the first criteria and foremost criteria is that these both drugs should have same efficacy, same safety, but there is a only variation in the cost. So then only you can go with the cost minimization analysis. I hope that is clear. To do a cost minimization analysis, you should have two drugs which are having the same efficacy and same safety, only differ in terms of cost. So that is where we do the cost minimization analysis. Okay. So we should have an assumption or we should assume that outcome to be equivalent. That means both safety and efficacy should be equivalent to the both drugs. Take an example, this is equivalent interpretation what we do. So you see here, left side you can see which is having a newer therapy, which is considered to be a newer therapy, and right side you can see which is having already existing therapy. So when you see the equivalence or when you see the outcome, have the first kind of hypothesis. You can see that the both drugs are having similar efficacy and similar safety. Suppose see the second case, your drug is having or your existing drug is having more efficacy when compared to a newer drug, then you go for a cost minimization. And as you can see that we have written that hypothesis is of equivalence which is not supported. So to do a cost minimization analysis, you should have the first condition in which both drugs are having similar efficacy and similar safety. I hope this is clear. Just simple. If any drug is having more efficacy, more safety compared to the other drug, you cannot do a cost minimization. To do a cost minimization, you should have both drugs with the same efficacy and same safety. Best example I will say you, the generic drug of a branded drug. We believe that both drugs are having the similar efficacy and similar safety. Only they vary in the brand names as well as the cost. So if you do any analysis comparing a generic version of the drug with the branded drugs, that type of analysis is called it as cost minimization analysis. And these are some characters of cost minimization analysis. These types of intervention that can be evaluated with these methods are limited. I said you first condition, both drugs should have the same efficacy and safety. It is very limited that we don't expect or we don't get all drugs which are having the similar efficacy and safety. There will be variation. So to get this type of exact condition, that is very limited. So carrying out this kind of evaluation is also limited, depends on the types of intervention. Next one, it can compare only the alternative with the same outcome. You cannot compare a drug which is having a hypertensive outcome with a diabetes outcome. You should have both the drugs should have the same outcome, which is reducing the blood pressure. Is it clear? So you should have comparing alternative, it should have the same outcome. The example, as I said, you generic equivalence of a branded drugs, you can calculate, or else you can compare IV versus per oral. But still, you should have an evidence to say that both IV as well as the per oral is having same efficacy and safety. If you say IV as well as the per oral treatment of a particular drug is having the same efficacy and safety, then you can go for a cost minimization analysis if there is a variation in the monetary aspects or the cost. So this is the basic concept. Cost minimization, the condition is that both drugs should have the same efficacy and same safety with the same outcomes. Then only I will go with the cost minimization. I will give you one example, and this is a simple process. What you need to do, you have to find out two drugs which are having similar efficacy and safety. You have to tell you have to collect all the different costs which you are using. Example, to calculate the pharmacy cost, calculate the nursing cost, physician cost, equipment cost, laboratory cost, which is surrounded with that particular outcome. So I have drug A, drug B. So suppose I say one example, a drug A is IV. I am comparing IV with per oral. So IV will have an extra cost of administration charge, but per oral will not have that. So like this, you have to identify different cost utilization parameters for that particular treatment. Then you have to calculate all the costs together, sum it up, compare A versus B, compare IV versus per oral. So you see which one is having more cost, which one is having lesser cost. So this kind of comparison is called just cost minimization analysis, when there is both comparison is having similar efficacy, similar safety, and similar outcome. So with this one, I'm moving to the example. If you see here, I have two medicine, medicine A and medicine B. If you see only the acquisition price means the price which you are giving to get that medicine. It is 8 rupee for medicine A and 15 rupees for medicine B. So if you look that only acquisition price, you can see that medicine A is far better than medicine B, right? There are around 200% difference in medicine B when you look into the medicine A. But when you do a pharmacoeconomic evaluation, you are not looking only to the acquisition price of that particular drug. You are looking into the pharmacist salary, how much he is getting out of that medicine, because each one will be different. Nursing salary, supplies, laboratory service, all other costs you are submitting, or all your costs you are collecting and summarizing. So once you summarize that all costs, you can see that medicine A is having a cost of 26 rupees and medicine B is having a cost of 21. Otherwise, if you look only acquisition price, medicine is having 8 rupees and medicine B is having 15. If you look only acquisition, what you say? I will say that medicine A is cost effective than cost B. But when you do a pharmacoeconomic evaluation, or when you do a cost minimization analysis, and finally you calculate that drug A is having 26 rupee and drug B is having 21 rupee, here what I say, drug B or medicine B is better efficacious or better, sorry, cost effective than medicine A. This is one simple example. The similar way, as I said you, this is one economic study which I have the case study. If you want this study, you can just pinch me in mail. I will just forward you that PDF of that particular study. Here, what they have done in a pediatric department of a teaching hospital. They have looked at all the antibiotics which are prescribed over there, and they compared generic version of these antibiotics with the branded drugs. So what they observed that when you look the difference between generic drug with the branded drug, they saw around 220 percentage to the 218 percentage difference in the cost. I can show you that here. You see here what they did. They took which are all the antibiotics which they are using there, how much number of prescriptions they have done, what was the brand name, how many number of prescription they had with brand name, and how much was the brand price, and how much is the generic price. So when they calculated the percentage difference between this versus this, they found this much difference. And you can see that simple co-amoxiclav is having very lesser difference in terms of brand versus generic. You can see around 20 percentage, and it have gone up to 18 percentage in case of cefixime. Can you see that? This was the brand for the T-tax Fortec. So this was a simple cost minimization analysis when you compare generic with the branded. So here what is the interpretation is that you can say that always generic drug is better cost effective or better cost minimization strategy to give a patient when compared to the brand, by providing that there is a clause for that both branded and generic is having same efficacy and safety. To say this, to do this cost minimization analysis and interpret this, you should have a clause that both drugs are having similar efficacy and safety. I hope you guys are clear with this. The similar way, there is one another analysis which they have done for uh, therapeutic plasma exchange with the IVIG immunoglobulin for Guillain-Barré syndrome, and they found that this was the difference when compared to the IVIG 2 kilogram versus this one TPE, and they said that finally IVIG therapy is more better than the TPA. Okay, so these are the some experiments which we have done with our Indian data. The first one we have published in Expert Reviews of Pharmacoeconomics and Outcome Research in last year, which is a Taylor and Francis publication. So what we have took all the different treatment strategies which are using for the breast cancer or early breast cancer in India, and we have took all the branded amount or branded cost of that particular generic cost of that particular branded dress. And what we found, I have highlighted, we found that around 25 percentage to 606 percentage cost variation is found with the cyclophosphamide and 5-fluorouracil, which is mostly used for the breast cancer. And next thing, you can see that the highest cost variation was observed with the gemcitabine, which is from 370 to 990 percentage. And with the cyclophosphamide, you can see 71.42 to 114 percentage, which was the lowest one. And if you look, this is a percentage wise calculation. If you look into the money wise calculation, if they would have used, because you know that always cancer drugs will be coming as a package or TAC regimen. It's in a regimen form, not a single drug, right? So we have two different regimen which we found highest cost and the lowest cost. If you see here, for TAC regimen, they have around highest cost saving. If they would have gone with the generic drug instead of branded drug, if they have chosen generic drug instead of branded drug, they could have saved around 60,000 to 1,31,000. Are you clear? If they would have used for a TAC regimen for early breast cancer patients, a generic version of the drug instead of branded drugs, they could have saved around 60,000 to 1,31,000. Similar way, lowest range we observed with the AC regimen, where they could have achieved around 12,000 to 15,000 of saving when they go with the generic drug instead of branded drugs. This was the one study which we have done. Followed by we have done another study which we recently published in 2020 March. So where we have used, you know, right, pantoprazole. We always neglect pantoprazole, right? Pantoprazole, as we say, it's like a chocolate in our Indian setup. Every prescription you can see pantoprazole, or you can see any proton pump inhibitor, whether it is useful or not. We have done first study what we have done, for first part of the study what we have done, we have analyzed whether that pantoprazole which they are using is appropriate or not. So inappropriate medication use was my first concern. Followed by we have compared with the proton pump inhibitor generic versus branded. And what we found interestingly, you see, we have found around from 135 percentage to 490 percentage variation. 135 percentage to 490 percentage variation in pantoprazole, and that too you can see pantoprazole is having most 490 percentage and isomeprazole is having 135 percentage. So pantoprazole, you know, right, which is very common drug. So if they would have used generic drug instead of branded drug, they could have achieved this. And we should believe that both are having similar efficacy and safety. That is another issue. So here I end with my cost minimization analysis. So if students are having any doubt, they can just put it up, sir. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you all hear me? Is there any doubts in cost minimization analysis? The simple concept is that you are just comparing two different drugs which are having similar efficacy and similar safety. That is the one concept which you should have, assumption which you should have when you do any cost minimization analysis. Yeah. Then somebody raised the hand. Please put up your question.
Yeah, participant can speak.
If not, shall I move to next slide, sir? Shall I move to next one, sir? Hello.
Hi, Rashid.
Yes. Yes, one.
I have one question related to indirect costs.
Okay.
Like, as you told, like we have three different types of costs. So the
Yes.
direct costs are clear and the intangible one is clear.
Okay.
Like, how come this indirect costs are useful to us?
Yes.
Is this something like the government or the authority bodies are going to pay for the patient loss? Only
Yes.
is this
Yeah, I'll tell you.
or
Okay, I'll tell you that
yeah,
calculation. So, when you do any kind of pharmacoeconomic evaluation to check your outcome, you will be using clinical trials. Am I
yes,
clear? We will be
yes,
using clinical trials to do any kind of pharmacoeconomic evaluation. That because that is the highest evidence which is available right now in the research. So what we do, I have a set of outcome which are mortality out of this treatment, mortality out of this treatment. And in a country where there is an established system of health insurance, there will be paying this much amount of money to that particular patient who are dead. So in a clinical trial, I found that there are 10 deaths out of my treatment. So that 10 death is a clinical outcome. But the money which is generating or which is coming out of this outcome will be considered as the cost because it is a addition which you are paying into that. Am I clear? Otherwise, I will tell in another way.
yeah. This is fine. This is fine. Actually, I just want to know, like, is the patient going to pay something, or else
No,
the patient? I mean, the
the
due to the
health
loss of the
insurance
patient, the
company
government is
will be
paying to them.
the health insurance companies will be paying that amount. Since it is a
Okay.
monetary aspect and that you cannot take into as a outcome. Suppose you are take that as a outcome, but what you need to do, that money you have to calculate as a cost which you are generating out of that treatment.
Okay.
That is a
Yeah,
calculation.
this is fine. Thank you.
Then without losing my time, I'm just moving to the next slide. Cost effectiveness analysis. As I said to you, here also cost will be in monetary units only, but the outcomes will be measuring in the natural health units. But here is the advantages. We can use health units are common outcome. The one good advantage is that we will be checking all these natural outcomes in our daily routine practice. Blood pressure, then glucose level, or whatever the outcome which we are taking in terms of clinical outcome will be measuring a very everyday life. So it is a good outcome to measure, and it will be easy for the medical practitioners to find out that outcome. So here disadvantages is that, as I said to you before, yeah, the disadvantage is that, as I said you before, you should have same clinical outcome. The outcome should be similar in terms of what you are going to measure. You cannot compare a antihypertensive with anti-asthmatic. Both drugs should be antihypertensive or both drugs should be anti-asthmatic. You cannot compare one outcome with another outcome. The outcome should be common for both. Second one, there should not be more than one clinical outcome. In the sense, there can be more than one clinical outcome, but what should not have, you should not have an imbalance between the outcome which our own concern with the outcome which is having another one. If I say one example, here they have given an example of HRT, hormone replacement therapy. So here if you give the hormone replacement therapy, both menopausal symptoms as well as bone mineral density symptoms will happen because of hormone replacement therapy. So when you are looking into the one outcome, your objective should be clear. You should not take both outcome which are generated from two different set of clinical outcomes. You should, if you are focusing only on menopausal symptoms, you focus only that. You should not consider any outcome which is generating out of bone mineral density. And if you feel that that particular secondary outcome will majorly influence this primary outcome, better you should avoid that outcome. You choose something which is having more clarity in terms of outcome. Is that clear? If there are two primary set of outcome, you should be clear that the secondary outcome will not influence your primary outcome. That should be your primary outcome. So you should not take a primary outcome which will be influenced by another cofactor. So you should be very careful here. Third one, difference in effectiveness and side effects of treatment. That is a major issue with the anti-cancer drugs. So you know that more than efficacy parameters, you will have hundreds of safety aspects when you are looking into the cancer drugs. So that is the one challenge which we have whenever we do the efficacy out, I mean cost effectiveness analysis. You have to consider, suppose effectiveness outcome is one, I'm checking only survival benefit. But if you look into the safety outcome, there will be more than 10 other outcomes. So it will be very difficult for you to interpret that particular outcome which you are generating out of that anti-cancer treatment. That is the one disadvantage of this cost effectiveness analysis. So here is the grid. You should decide when you want to the cost effectiveness analysis. Here what I said you, there is some scenarios which will deviate from the basic rules of the first Bible which I said you. So we have maximum attention to this grid. If you understand this grid, you can almost interpret complete cost effectiveness analysis. As you all know that there is four planes: left side, right side, upper and lower. So left side you take completely lower. Okay, left side you take completely lower, and right side you take the more, I mean higher. So if you look into left one, I have a treatment which is having lesser efficacy. You take left lower corner as A, left upper corner as B, right upper corner as C, and right lower corner as D. So I'm going to talk about the left lower corner which is A. new treatment is less costly but less effective. New treatment is less costly but less effective. Second one, existing treatment dominates when there is new treatment is more costly but new treatment is less effective. You see the B where I written existing treatment is dominating. Why? I am putting a drug B. I am putting a new drug and that drug is having higher cost. But its efficacy is lesser. That drug is having higher cost, efficacy is lesser. So obviously I don't have to choose a low efficacy drug with a higher cost, right? So what happens? Already one drug is available which is less costlier than a new drug which is having more effectiveness than the new drugs. So obviously I will go with the existing drug. I don't have to think of a new drug so that I don't have to do a cost effectiveness analysis here. Without doing a cost effectiveness analysis, I can directly go choosing the deciding the existing drug is more effective than the already coming the drug which is into the market. So you see the C corner where there is a new drug, where there is a new drug is coming, which is having a higher cost as well as which is having a higher efficacy. Having higher cost, higher efficacy. So that is dominating with the existing drug in terms of efficacy as well as cost. So there is a chance that if you give these drugs, if you give this drug to that particular patient, since it is efficacy is higher, he will get a better effect than the existing drug. But you have to consider that there is a term which is cost. That cost is also higher. That is where you will do maximum of cost effectiveness analysis. You can see that maximum acceptable ICER. Maximum acceptable ICER. So maximum cost effectiveness analysis you will do in quadrangle C. B, we won't do anything. Why? We know that drug is already existing is better than the new drug. So we will avoid new drug and we will go with the existing treatment strategy. But quadrangle C, maximum acceptable ICR, where there is a new drug which is having higher efficacy as well as higher cost. So that is where you do a cost effectiveness analysis. Now you look into the down one. D, sorry, new treatment is dominating. Why? It is having lesser cost, it is having the higher efficacy. So obviously we go with the newer drug. Now you come back to the A, quadrangle A, where there is new drug treatment is less costly but less effective. Keep that in mind. I'll tell you all other three. This you just hide it. Existing drug dominate when new drug is having lesser cost and more efficacy. We will go with the new drugs. When the new drug is having lesser cost and higher safe efficacy profile, we'll go with the new drugs. When new drug is having higher cost, lesser efficacy, we'll go with the older drug. When the new drug is having higher cost as well as higher efficacy, that point we will do a cost effectiveness analysis and we will go for the newer drugs. Depends on the cost effectiveness ratio. Now, this quadrangle A, which I said you see that new treatment with less costly but less effective. There are some situation where you will do a ICR is here also, opposite to maximum ICR. Where some situation, suppose I have two drugs, I have a new drug which I can give to my patient. Suppose the patient is in the last stage of his life, stage 4 metastatic cancer. He is about to die in another 1 month. I should not say like that, but just a hypothetical example I'm taking. Suppose the patient is having in these last stages of life, he may die in another few days. We are sure, more sure, but we are just giving some treatment to him. So I knew that there is a new drug which is coming in market, which is having less cost than what I am treating right now, and what is having less safe, less efficacy, but not that much. Just a point. Just having suppose instead of is reducing 10 mmHg blood pressure, the new drug will reduce 9 mmHg blood pressure, but the difference in cost is around 5,000. Simple. So that time, in that point, you can think of a cost effectiveness analysis and you can adopt a treatment. Depends on the patient or patient attendees. Are you clear with that explanation? Where there is a less cost and less treatment, that time also we will go with the reason that this is the situation. So if they are willing to go with that, let them go, because they can save around so much of money for that patient who is having in the later stages of life. So here, this is the overall cost grid, but you clear that we will be using the cost effectiveness analysis majority in case where there is a maximum or higher cost with a higher efficacy, but lower cost with lower efficacy in some situations we will choose, otherwise we will not choose. Okay. So this is the same grid. You can just have a look. Anyway, I'll share the PPTs later. So to do a cost effectiveness analysis, there is a process. The first one is cost consequences analysis, followed by cost effectiveness ratio calculation and incremental cost effectiveness ratio calculation. Cost consequences calculation, as I said you before, you will be rating what are all the costs which is coming for the drug A, what are all the costs coming for drug B, what are all the outcomes you are getting drug A, what are all the outcomes you are getting drug B. Then what you do, we will calculate per outcome how much I have to pay. Suppose here 200, drug A will cost 200 rupees for getting 10 outcome. Drug B will cost 100 rupees to do a get a 10 outcome. So what you do, you just calculate 100 by 10 to 100 by 10 per outcome, you will get this. That calculation, simple calculation, is called as average cost effectiveness ratio. There is one more cost, incremental cost effectiveness ratio, where you will be dividing the difference in cost to the difference in outcome with the both treatment, new versus old. I will take you with an example for easy understanding. This is the first case study which I have. You can, when I can share that as well if you request. So I have, they were using for persistent asthma. What was the cost effectiveness of fluticasone FP and triamcinolone acetonide TA? Now onwards I will say FP and TA. The study design which they have used for obtained from the prospectively from two multi-center randomized parallel group double blind, so many clinical trial terms. So from that they have used the outcomes resource utilization. And you can see the outcomes which they have clearly defined was measure of effectiveness will be taken in terms of FEV1, forced expiratory volume in 1 second. And resource utilization, asthma related healthcare resources were used for the resource calculation, like how much they have to utilize for any kind of physician charge, home, everything. Then adverse events also they calculated for the cost analysis. So you can see these are all the different cost terms which they have taken for the steady medication, rescue salbutamol, oral candidiasis if anything comes up, then LRTI, then each asthma related emergency. These are all was the cost which they calculated for that particular patient. And you can see the outcome, these are all was the calculated physician and how much the amount they paid. And you can see the final amount here, they're taking each one, FP they are taking as well as the TA they are taking. A physician amount was 41 for FP and 45 for TA. Like this, they have calculated for each outcome. I mean, sorry, each cost they have calculated. And you see here, this was the calculation what they have done. Here is the cost calculation. This is the first step which I said you, cost consequences analysis, CCA, where they have calculated each cost for the each patient. And you see, as a second step, I said you cost effectiveness ratio. You see this cost per additional SFT to get a single symptom free days. SFT means symptom free days. FEV1 is next one. I said you one outcome before and another outcome which they are calculating symptom free days. And to get a single symptom free days, FP has to pay 14 rupees. TA has to pay 24 rupees. Is that clear? To get an additional extra increase in 12 percentage FPV1, FP has to pay 4.76 and TA has to pay 7.43. And what they did now, they have calculated ICER with the equation I said you. This is the equation. Treatment cost per person per day divided by proportion of patients with the determined percentage increase in the FEV1 from the baseline. So simple concept. I will overall, if I say I'll calculate the cost, I'll calculate the outcome for one treatment A, treatment B. Per outcome, how much I have to pay, I'll calculate. Then what I do, I will calculate the difference in cost of intervention A minus intervention B divided by how many outcome I got for intervention A minus intervention B. If I calculate that, I will get this ICR. So to get a single SFD of additional 1 SFD for the treatment option FP when compared to TA, the patient has to pay 1 rupee $70. Sorry, $1.7 he has to pay to get a 1 extra SFD. To get a 1 extra FPV1, he has to pay 0.68. I hope you guys are clear with this. Simple, calculate the cost, calculate the outcome divided by per outcome, that is CER. ICER means difference in cost divided by difference in outcome. So finally, the interpretation of that particular treatment study was like this. ICR give cost per patient per day per unit of improvement in lung function and per unit improvement in the symptom control. As I said, two outcome: lung control in terms of FEV1 and the symptom control in terms of SFP. And what they calculated, daily cost per successfully treated patient at the effectiveness level of 12% increase in FEV1 was the $4 for FP and $7 for TA group. Similarly, to get an additional 1 symptom free day, 40 day, 14 rupees and 24 rupees. So finally, when they do a cost effectiveness analysis, what they found is that FP demonstrated an advantage because to get 1 extra outcome, they have to pay $1 for SFD. And for FE1, they have to pay 0.68. So what they interpreted and the outcome was more higher. If you read the original article, I can share you that there was a difference of more than 12%. FP demonstrated around 53% improvement and another group is only 32. So this much difference was 21% difference was there in the outcomes. So to get that much maximum and they have to pay only 1 rupee. So what finally they said that FP is having a better effectiveness or better cost effectiveness when compared to the TA. This was the final calculation. So this was their analysis from a payer perspective. FP was more cost effective than TA in patients with persistent asthma for these 2-week 24 randomized control trial. So this is how we do a cost effectiveness analysis. This is one example. And finally, once you calculated, I said I calculated, right? I calculated ICER through all this way. So once I calculated ICER, what I need to do, I have to ask the patient, are you able to afford to get this one particular outcome, which this much amount of money? So if he is willing to take it up, then I can say that that patient is afforded, then it is clearly, it is finally cost effective. Suppose I say that there are 10,000 rupees you have to pay when compared to this, and patient is telling that I am not ready to pay, then it is not a cost effective. That is where incremental net benefit analysis, one extra term which along with the ICER, this is the interpretation of statistical concern when you do a cost effectiveness analysis. It is not the final is ICER, final is INB, in incremental net benefit. So there is a term lambda. Can you see the lambda? So lambda is willingness to pay. I have calculated that. Then what I do, I will multiply this lambda with the effect what I got to the cost what I am paying. So if lambda, since it is a difference, if lambda is coming more than 0, that means effect is overweighing the cost. Effect is far better than the cost. Then I can say that my intervention is cost effective. If lambda is coming, oh sorry, INB is coming less than 0, then I cannot say that it is a cost effective when you are considering a payer's perspective. If you are not considering payer's perspective, you are just looking whether it is cost effective or not, you can stop with ICR. But if you are looking at payer's perspective or patient perspective, you have to look into INB also, whether he is willing to pay or not. If he is willing to pay, then it is cost effective. Is not willing to pay, it is not cost effective. So with this cost minimization and cost effectiveness, I'm just stopping the morning session here. We'll continue with the second session in the afternoon at exactly 2. So if you guys have any question right now, you can ask, or else you just recollect it. Whatever the doubt you know, whatever doubt you have, you ask me. If I am good enough to explain that, if I know that, I will tell you. If I am not knowing that, I will read and I will tell you. I don't have any issue with that because I am not much expert in that. So whatever you have the doubt, you have a look into that, you ask me. If I know, I will tell you. If I don't know, I repeat, I will get back to you definitely after reading from my end. So with this, I'm stopping cost minimization and cost effective. And if anyone is having doubts right now, you can ask, or else you can ask in the afternoon session also. And I hand over to Rao sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. If any students is having any doubts right now, they can, or else they can ask in the afternoon session also. No problem.
It's time 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir. That's right.
You're feeling
I
hungry.
know. But this is maximum speed I can follow.
Yeah, understood. But even though you have covered, even you're taking in depth, but I don't know. I know that it doesn't complete within the short span of time.
Yeah.
2 hours you cannot cover. So we can plan. Especially we can plan for special sessions.
Yes, sir.
It's a full day session we can cover.
Yes, sir. If
Even though
anyone is having any doubts right now, you can, or else we will wind it up.
yeah, we can have lunch and we can come back. Yeah, participant, it's time to unmute yourself and you can interact with sir. There is a lot of technical problems are coming and we keep on resolving.
Okay.
Yeah, participants. Okay, participants are they have a lot of patience. Keep on maintaining same number, so they are very patiently listening for your session.
That's so nice.
Yeah, Shruti. Yeah, participant, please unmute. Otherwise, we can go for lunch. Shall we expect?
And I hope everyone will be back at 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give the end of time afternoon session. So have lunch. Come back at sharp 2 o'clock. We'll be on screen. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Have you lunch, sir? I'll come back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I will end the session.
Yes. Shall I off here?
Yeah, you can end.